Welcome back to the vault. Today's video is with Shane Pilata and myself, Josh. We're going to be reviewing one of Jennifer Burton's more recent videos where she discusses some of the things that's currently happening in her life right now. Now, as you can see, I've got a guest today. This is Shane Pilata. And tell me a little bit about yourself, Shane.
Hey Josh, I'm a New York guy, and I used to be out on the road in the service business, most of the day, and I would put YouTube on, and I used to, do some true crime stuff, and then one day I just happened to come across Jeremy, and like most of us, I just became fixated with him and her, and some of the early stuff I saw and read was the phone calls between him and Jennifer, where, she was getting wise to um, his felonies and the
Yeah.
things he'd been up to and reporting him. And it just, her trying to get him to pay for hotel rooms and her finding out he had paid for hotel rooms for other women and her freaking out. And it was just can't miss YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely had a tumultuous relationship over the years. She kind of straddles the line. Either she's completely on Jeremy's side or she's throwing him under the bus, with, assault charges. Got to be careful with that R word, which I wanted to talk to you about, by the way, on your video, because YouTube and their monetization policy, you got to be careful with
Okay.
the sex word or the rape word. You could spell it,
Okay.
can't say these words, which is unfortunate, but it's just the kind of censorship era that we live in.
Understood.
You said you would listen to these YouTube videos. Where was the first place you learned about? Was it like Real World Police, Police Tube, Friday? What channel did you first kind of narrow in on?
I definitely think it was fraudy.
Yeah, me too. That was Fraudy and Police Tube. I mean, honestly, I watched Real World Police Dewitte Gone Wild Seminole County Edition first, and then I kind of started kind of going out into the edges and looking at at Police Tube and Fraudy, and then there was a couple other guys that just aren't making videos anymore. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got in that area too. Now, real quick, you've got one video out on your channel. It's actually doing really well. After I got your text today, I went and looked at it and I was like, whoa, it's already up to like 500 views, which for a brand new channel, I mean, that is absolutely huge. And I see PoliceTube actually went in there in the comments and promoted your video for you, which is awesome. So tell me a little bit about your channel, what you're trying to do with it.
It's funny. There are a lot of, no, I shouldn't say a lot, actually. There are very few content creators. Really it's you and it's PT and it's Fraudy and it's MSG retired. And you guys give us a lot of information, but I feel like there are questions that I have that I don't see everywhere. And I got to think that other people have some of these same questions. So I feel like if we kind of all get together, I was thinking today as I was driving around, this would be fun to do with maybe PT and MSG retired and you and I think that'd be kind of like a fun thing to do.
Oh, definitely. It would be fun to do like a round table type thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it may sound kind of silly, but I've always envisioned this process that kind of culminates in like an overall kind of YouTube documentary style where myself or somebody, right, takes the burden and goes around and talks to these different creators and these different key figures that are within this community, because you've got Ramsey, you've got Vidler, you've got Jessica Bolden, you got Jennifer Burton, Jeremy, Rania, Mina. You've got Wall, which I really hope you hear back from Wall in that message that you sent. But yeah, so you've got all of these key players, and I just would like to see it all kind of collated into this one digestible video where everybody can understand, because I get these comments on my videos all the time about from people that clearly don't have a clue what's going on, and they just come in, they hate cops, and they see Jeremy, they think, oh, he's getting picked on because of this concealed carry. Well, Jeremy should have never been on the streets in the first place. I mean, this guy right now alone, I mean, I think he's got what, 28 felonies we know about right now. I don't even count the misdemeanors anymore. 28 felonies pending Polk County with Sheriff Grady Judd, which I honestly I can't wait to see what that yields. That's going to be awesome. But yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get into this first video. So give me just a moment and I'll cue it up here.
Okay, okay.
I wasn't going to make a video. I was actually going to wait a few weeks to really say something to give an update about what has been going on for months now. But I got a call from Jeremy today, and we know that a lot of stuff has been said online recently that is not true, and I guess now is the time for me to kind of correct some things. The first thing I will talk about is, I guess, the most important thing to me and whatever is out there. It's about my relationship with Jeremy. So I guess there are rumors that Jeremy and I are not together, or we've had some issues, or something's come up where we're not talking, or we can't talk to each other. That is a complete lie. And it's something that's so stupid to lie about because it's so easy to prove. I mean, I'm sure that right now someone's putting aside all their life savings to get the recorded calls between me and Jeremy. So there are, multiple hundreds of calls. I had to pause making the video just now because Jeremy just called me again. Second time that he's called me today, and it's only 11:13 a.m. So yeah, we talk all the time and we're doing fine. I mean, obviously there's all the stress with all the court stuff, but other than that, there are no issues. Supposedly there's information online about recent issues between us and that we can't talk or we don't want to talk to each other. And that's not real. That's all fake. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself because I've been saying this for so long, that there are people out there who have nothing to do. They're very pathetic. They don't have lives, and they live through me and through Jeremy. And if they're not talking about us, they don't know what to do. So they make up stuff. They post it online. People who don't really know us or want to find anything that they can against us will believe it. If anything, Jeremy and I are closer now than we were before he went in there. I talk to him all the time. I talk to his attorneys all the time. I talk to his attorneys more than he does, more than anyone in his family does.
Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts about that particular clip. The immediate thought that comes to my mind is she thinks, now based on the call logs and the visitor logs, she's literally the only one that's calling him, the only one that's coming to see him other than his mom. And literally, I'm going to give you this phone number so we can call it, but I'm pretty sure Rania has not called him maybe once or twice since he was in jail for, almost a year. Every single day, multiple times a day, he's talking to Jennifer. So I can understand why she feels that way. But then when you read his briefs, he's talking about going home to be with his wife and his daughter. So I want to kind of get your perspective, see what you think about that and what you think is going through Jennifer's mind then and now. Let me know.
Listen, she is a treasure trove of information.
Yeah.
She is so excited that, and I know this is going to come up a little later in the clip, but she's so excited to be Jeremy's gal. Mm-hmm. I mean, she just, she talks about how, Ranya's kind of, the past and Jen's the future. Right. Well, in fact, Ranya had Jeremy before he was, $200,000 in debt to Yellow Cab Company and whatever insurance companies there are. This guy is going to be even more worthless now than he was before. And she's so excited to have him. She is a trainer.
I know she, I wonder if the Yellow Cab's ever going to actually collect on that. Do you know what the actual figure was? Was it $100,000?
It was 80,000.
80,000. Okay.
Yeah. So, but insurance companies are coming after him soon.
Oh yeah. Well, he's got all the insurance fraud, right? So they
want their money back.
Oh, absolutely. They've probably paid him out $100,000 at least. So,
at least.
Yeah, if you figure with interest and all the other nonsense added on top of it, I mean, it's at least a couple $100,000, and he's going to be fresh out of bankruptcy, rolling into either a new relationship with Jennifer or with Rania. I mean, honestly, my take is I don't think he's ever going to be with her. I think he's literally using her for whatever connections that she has. Because if you notice in those phone calls, those jail calls, he's always alluding to people that she knows within the police force. Have you
Right.
noticed? Yeah, she definitely. I don't know if she's met him through Ashley Madison or.
I know she knows one particular officer from the front seat of his car. I don't know if
Yeah,
that.
who was that?
I don't know.
But
Wait,
she knows.
you know the line I love out of her, like right to start the thing. She says, "It's so stupid to lie because it's so easy to prove." You're an agent, Jeremy DeWitt.
Yeah,
You can't say that to anybody.
I know, right? And the thing is, especially with Jeremy, you never see me pull anybody over. I've never pulled anybody over, and it's like, dude, like, I mean, I have this video that PoliceTube did, and I literally made notes through it, and it's the one where Jeremy's trying to bait her into admitting something like, "You never saw me do this. Just say it. Just say it. This is my life. You never saw me do this. You never saw me do this." And meanwhile, there's video proof of literally everything. I mean, the idiot, he's like the Nazis were. The Nazis documented everything. That's really what got them caught and hung at Nuremberg, was they documented all of their evil deeds. And Jeremy's so narcissistic and stupid. The guy carries around that body camera or phone, or I don't know how he does it, but I mean, what a moron. And then he's
Yeah.
it on his desktop and labeled
Yeah.
Jay's Cool Videos or something stupid like that.
Yeah. Arrogant and ignorant is no way to go through life, son.
Yeah, I mean, only a moron would do that.
Does. Speaking of attorneys, Jeremy also reached out to one of his attorneys and asked that person if they could recommend a really good divorce attorney, someone that they know personally. Jeremy has reached his limit with, I mean, I guess if you want to call it a marriage, Jeremy has reached his limit with that marriage. It would probably take me over an hour just to talk about everything that has happened over the last 6 or 7 months. So I will make this very brief. The person that Jeremy is married to went overseas. They went and got a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars overseas, brought the money back to the US, squirreled that money away, didn't tell anyone about the money, and they were still asking and demanding that Jeremy's family pays for all of the bills. Supposedly, they were giving people all of these guilt trips and saying like, oh, you won't be able to see your grandchild if you don't help me. I won't let you see her if you don't pay these bills. So Jeremy's family is thinking that, you know, they're broke. They don't have anything. So they're still paying the mortgage. They're still paying the mortgage. They're still paying all the bills, even for the animals. They're paying the vet bills. They're paying everything. And Jeremy's mom starts asking questions because she's noticing that although his wife is crying broke, she's going out to lunch, she's going out to dinner to these nice restaurants, she's buying new clothes. So she's trying to figure out, okay, where is she getting this money from? On top of all of that, there is a lot of other stuff going on in the background that I don't know if it's my place to say it or if I should just wait and let Jeremy say it. But she was also not answering Jeremy's calls at all. She has not spoken to Jeremy in months. So that's why I'm a little confused why there are rumors that Jeremy and I aren't speaking. They are not speaking. She has not answered a phone call from him in months. Between the money situation, the not answering the phone, and then she refuses to go back to work. She hasn't gone to work in months. I don't know what the hell that's about. So
Okay, so my favorite part is whenever Jennifer and Jeremy get into the argument, it's like an argument of who is more confused, right? They're always saying, I'm confused. I'm confused because you said blah, blah, blah. Like there's one I'm thinking of with the hotel thing. I'm confused. Are you trying to blackmail me? And Jennifer replied, I'm confused. Are you saying that? It's just they're both confused all the time. And it just sounds like Jennifer is just so envious and jealous of everything Rania says and does, and she's just dying to be the number one lady. What do you think, Shane?
Ranya's Jeremy's woman. Ranya's the one. You know, Jen's Jenny come lately. You know, Ranya's always going to have the upper hand. So, you know, Ranya you know, what is she? Rania understands that she's married to the biggest liar on the planet. He's a liar. He's a philanderer. He's a fraud. What does, Jen is the one who wants that. Jen, somebody is surprised that Rania is taking lengths to get away from a liar, a fraud, a philanderer. This surprises Jen somehow, and Jen is desperate to get it. So who's crazier, Jen or Rania?
Good point. Good point.
So a few days ago, Jeremy, as I stated, reached out to one of his attorneys about the cases, obviously. And then he also asked that attorney to recommend and speak to a divorce attorney for him. So that's the latest on that. So I just wanted to clarify that, yeah, me and Jeremy, no issues. Jeremy and the other one, major issues. Now his wife is claiming she has no money. Well, yeah, I mean, when you go shopping every day and you go out to lunch and dinner and all these restaurants every day, yeah, you're going to run out of money, especially if you refuse to go to work. So as far as the VOP hearing that Jeremy had, obviously you all know that Jeremy no longer has to be on probation. That means no more James, no more Lisa. That's over, done. That means Jeremy no longer has a curfew or any other rules. He can go back and get his motorcycle endorsement. He can ride again. All of that stuff is over. It's done. But let me tell you what led up to that. So at first, the state was asking for 5 years. Jeremy has had, I think, two or three prosecutors during that whole situation. And they kept asking for 5 years in prison. 5 years in prison for a YouTube channel. Eventually, the last prosecutor was like, okay, we're not going to ask for 5 years in prison. We're just going to have him reinstated. Basically, we're going to give him back to Woods to do whatever he wants with him. I wasn't happy about that because you all know how I feel about Woods. You know how I feel about Barker. So I wasn't happy at all. But it was either that or go to prison. So we were all pretty much prepared for him to just be reinstated that day. So the prosecutor is making his arguments and Amir is making his arguments. Amir Ladan, Jeremy's defense attorney, in case you didn't know. So Amir is making his arguments and they're kind of going back and forth. And then obviously the judge is asking questions about what the prosecutor is presenting. Judge Wooten did not call James Woods a liar, but what he said was in the affidavit, there was inaccurate information and inconsistencies. For example, James Woods accused Jeremy of committing a crime when he was in prison. Now, I don't know if they let Jeremy out of the prison to go commit the crime and then come back in, but that was one of the major issues that the judge was having. And it's not like James Woods did not have multiple chances to correct that information. He had 3 or 4 or 5 amended affidavits. And Lisa, the supervisor, had multiple chances to read over that information and correct it. So the judge is sitting there and he's poking holes in the prosecutor's presentation. And he's saying, and you want to give him 5 years for that? And you want to give him 5 years for that? And you want to give him 5 years for that. So he's asking him, do you want me to give this man 5 years for a YouTube channel? Remember, Jeremy was supposed to be reinstated for his probation that day.
Okay, so my first thoughts in hearing that are the first thing she says right off the bat is me and Jeremy, no issues. Rania and Jeremy, major issues. Right? And then she goes into how Ranya's complaining that she has no money and she's out shopping, going to lunch, and all the things that Jen wants to be doing, right? And she seems to think that Jeremy's going to get his license back right away, which I don't know if you saw. At least this is what he was telling the guy that was transporting him, was that he was going to be a truck driver and then start a truck driving company. And I mean, that may well have happened. A lot of people that are criminals turn out to be truck drivers. I mean, I could just imagine him on the road. He's going to act like an absolute maniac. And she's talking about how Amir's making arguments and this and that. And Amir is his lawyer for now because he legally is bound to that particular case. Now, if you look at all the new cases, Amir is no longer representing him because the well has run dry on Jeremy. He doesn't have any money. And that's, at the end of the day, Amir is not a charity. So he's not going to represent Jeremy for free. He's not going to do any pro bono pro bono work for him. So that kind of stuck out to me. And then just the overall delusional nature of her rambling, where she's calling Woods a liar. And, we saw this before at the bond hearing, where Jeremy was denied bond and she was caught on the stand lying and making up stories, and the judge actually caught her. And then later on in the next hearing, where it goes over to the next judge, she acts like a jailhouse lawyer. It's my favorite people, right? That sovereign citizens and jailhouse lawyers. And I have a theory that Jeremy's going to come out the other side of this prison sentence as a sovereign citizen. You know what those are?
No, explain it.
Okay. Sovereign citizens was like Daryl Brooks. Daryl Brooks was the guy that ran over the people at that parade in Minnesota.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And sovereign citizens basically believe that they're traveling, so they're not participating in commerce. Therefore, they do not need to be licensed to drive a vehicle. And they believe that in natural rights. They don't believe they believe we're under a maritime law. I'm just complete nonsense, right? So they don't feel that certain laws apply to them because they're natural born sovereign citizens. It's an absolute mess. I'm going to be putting out a video about that, but yeah, I mean, just hearing her on the stand say things like, "Can you rephrase the question? Can you how is that relevant?" Trying to be a lawyer when she's being questioned. She's just absolutely ridiculous. But anyhow, what do you think about that whole clip and kind of her spiel?
Well, again, for me, it just goes back to how just jealous she is of Rania. And like, she doesn't get it. Like, Rania is done with him, and rightfully so. Like, what do you want Rania to do? Spend the money she has on Jeremy for what? I read something today that, narcissism is the one personality defect that cannot be cured. Like, what is Jen think Jeremy is? She thinks that she and Jeremy are Ross and Rachel, or Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
so and funny, Ross and Rachel.
And that thing where, like, everyone knows how I feel about everyone. I mean, and then she talks about how we're all crazy for wanting to follow them and be interested in their life. Yeah, I wanted to know, on Friday night, who shot JR too. I want to know, what's going to happen here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like a never-ending soap opera, and as long as he is out of prison, I mean, it's only going to continue. I mean, the guy is. It's like watching a head-on collision with two buses coming at each other, full steam ahead.
She said he got charged with a crime while he was in jail. I have no doubt that he committed crimes while he was in jail. I don't think a day can go by where this guy doesn't commit a crime.
Well, he definitely does witness tampering from behind bars. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
And I definitely know that he's had Jennifer go and dispute charges that obviously ended up coming back on him, right? So
you said before about Jen's the only one you think has called him. Like, his mom hasn't called him.
No, his mom. So his mom talks to him, and Jen talks to him. Jen talks to him all the time.
He calls her nonstop, right? He finishes his minute on the phone, or whatever it is, 3 or 4 minutes, and then he gets back on the end of the line so he can make another call. I remember there were days where he had called her 50 times.
Oh yeah, 416 calls, I think, in that short amount of time he was in there.
Hey, what do you think the odds are of a woman creating two pedophiles? What do you think the odds are on that? Ooh. Like Jeremy's mom.
So I don't think it's in DNA. I think it's in nurture. It's not nature, it's nurture.
This is what I'm saying. This woman has created 2 pedophiles.
Yeah. Yeah, Dylan. The odds are not good, right? So the chances of it's definitely nurture because you tend to see them in family lines, right? Like abused become abusers and so on and so forth. And
Yeah, they're screwed. The whole family's screwed. The bloodline's
oh,
shot.
totally. You know, it makes me wonder if there's any branches on that tree or if it just goes up. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and kick over into the next video.
Okay.
But as the hearing went on, you could tell that the prosecutor was a little flustered. And so then he started asking for the 5 years again. And I think that's when the judge just kind of like shut it down. And he asked everyone to take a break and to come back. Everyone came back. And the judge basically said, you know, I could reinstate Mr. Dewitte. I could reinstate him and have him start the probation over because he still had, you know, years left to finish. The judge said, but I don't think it would be safe for Mr. Dewitte to go back on probation in Osceola County. He said, we will be right back here in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they will find another reason to violate him. He said that Jeremy's cases, unfortunately, get a lot of attention, and there were members of law enforcement who were trying to influence people in a negative way. He talked about and kind of joked about the amended affidavits, how every week there was a new amended affidavit. So he did talk about that, and I knew that was going to be an issue for them because it looked like they were just looking for anything. So Wooten decided to give Jeremy a downward departure, which is basically, hey, I'm not even going to give you the max that they're asking, anything close to what they're asking. It was time served. He's no longer on probation, no longer has to deal with James, no longer has to deal with Lisa. That is over. As far as Lake County, that case has also been dismissed. That's over. He doesn't have to deal with that anymore. They dismissed that last week. As far as Osceola County and any pending charges there, a little birdie told us that that's probably not going anywhere either. So a lot of this is just, you know, they're stacking stuff against him and he's kind of beating everything that they're stacking. So I guess that's good news for him. So just to reiterate, Jeremy and I are fine. He is no longer on probation. That's over. He still has some stuff going on with Osceola County. Lake County is over. I'm really happy about the VOP hearing because Judge Wooten is a very tough judge from what we were told. I mean, he's fair, but he's also really, really tough. So I didn't know how this was going to go. And for him to like not only see through it all, but give Jeremy a downward departure and get rid of the probation, that was just amazing. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, that's the latest. I mean, there's more obviously that's going on in the background, but I will have updates about that. Who knows when? Like I said, I'm not a YouTuber, not a vlogger. I just use this channel for updates and to kind of talk about things out there that are not true, not real. So I just wanted to give you guys the updates on what happened and the truth because it's my life and no one can tell me about my life and what's going on with me because they're not living it. To the people who support me, I hope that you have a great rest of the week and I will definitely have more updates at some point.
Okay, so there's a couple things that kind of jump out to me there. You know, she was reading what Judge Wooten says as it's not safe for Jeremy in Osceola County, but Jeremy just keeps committing crimes. Now, I know that there was on his bail that said he's not a threat to the community, and I assume that's because he doesn't have a driver's license and he's no longer doing motor vehicle escorts, but he still manages to commit crimes. So, you know, that part never made sense to me, but whatever, right? He's obviously a threat. And the reason that he's got all these charges has to do with the fact that he keeps committing crimes outside of the motorcycle he was riding, right? He's not running around just committing only crimes with motorcycles. He does it in cars. And I don't believe for one effing second that Jeremy's not driving around. I guarantee he's driving around. I guarantee he's driving that black Charger that was in his driveway with the rear hard plastic seat, with the lights and all the accoutrement of a police car. Now, part of me wonders here is the problem with the courts or with the district attorney, because obviously the police are putting together cases against him. Now, she made a statement in there that said, I heard from a little birdie that Osceola is not going anywhere, right? Well, Osceola, it didn't age very well, this video, because Osceola just filed 15 felony charges on him. So I don't know. She says that Wooten saw through it all, saw through everything and blah, blah, blah. But Wooten still gave him prison time or jail time or what have you. He claims that he served this last one in Department of Corrections as opposed to the jail. So I think this is one time where he actually went into the prison system. Normally, he just stays in the local jails for years on end, which is strange because here in California, if you do more than a year, they're going to bump you over to a prison for sure. But then she makes this statement that this is my life. I'm living it. Nobody else can tell me this is my life. And it's exactly the type of terminology that Jeremy uses. There's one point where she's saying, oh, everything's going to be fine. And he just goes off on her. This is my life. It's my life. And, this is my future and my family and my business and my house. And one thing I noticed is she's taken on a lot of the characteristics of Jeremy's speech patterns. She mirrors what Jeremy does, and that's what a good psychopath does. And Jeremy does the same thing with her. He mirrors her. So, are they a match made in hell or what? What do you think?
Well, you're right about that. At the end of that, she says, to the people who support me, who on earth would support her? To the people who support me. And that sounds a lot like Jeremy and his little motors. Like, right. What fantasy land are they living in? I guess people were buying Metro State stuff. He was selling it on eBay a while back.
Yeah.
People were buying it. Like, it's like the kid in school who, is a social reject and will do anything to get attention. And he sees that as friendship.
Right.
This, I can just imagine this being Jeremy growing up and even now taking into adulthood. Any attention is good attention. So,
yeah,
she's the same thing. Anybody, the people who support me, the little motors, they are so delusional and so in fantasy land. It's unbelievable. And like I said, I don't know what she thinks she's going to get. She's in love with, what do they always say? How you get him is how you lose him.
Oh, absolutely.
This is who he is. This is what he's going to be. What do you see coming in the future if you are her? Like, what goes on in that little pea brain of hers?
I often wonder how she hasn't seen through this yet. She hears all the calls. She's heard every call that Jeremy has made to his wife. And I think there's a very good reason why we haven't heard from her. Like she said, that day that Jeremy got out, she got that one recording of him doing his bond hearing, right, where he's got that long scruffy beard. And
right. Yep.
Now, since then, we haven't heard word one from her. Meanwhile, Jeremy's reopened his Motor One's moving channel. So he had put all the videos on private, took them out of private status, put them right back up, and some of on Jen's videos too, and Jeremy's. Some of the videos defaulted to where now the comment section is back open on them. Yeah.
Oh, you got to send me the link for those.
Yeah, I will. I sent one to Police Tube earlier. It was funny. He thought it was maybe a glitch, but that comment I put stayed, so I'm pretty sure. But
I'm gonna have to jump on a plane and go down to Florida and have a conversation with Jeremy. It has to happen.
For sure. Well,
you think he's in his house? Is he in his house?
Oh yeah, definitely. But you got to be careful because Jeremy's so litigious. He'll file harassment charges like that. He did it. He did it to somebody who showed up to his court hearing. It was a YouTuber. PT was telling me about that. But yeah, man, they're just fucking.
What's he scared of? What's he filing suits for? What is he scared of? Jeremy, you're not scared, are you?
Well, and he listens to all the content about him too. I'm sure he does. But one of the things that's always intrigued me is Jeremy's always been kind of a contrarian, right? He's always got to be contrary.
Sure, absolutely.
He always doing things for attention. And part of me really thinks that he became a Muslim to be contrary, because it was right when he became a Muslim, it was right at the time of 9/11, right? And I feel like he did that just to be opposite of what everybody else was.
Well, it's called a defiance disorder. He's got a defiance disorder.
Yeah, oppositional defiance disorder. Yeah,
Right.
it's funny you say that. So my wife's a school psychologist,
There
so
we go.
it's something she has to deal with.
Can she put a dossier
Diagnose.
together? Can she put a dossier together on Jeremy?
Yeah, yeah. She probably could. Uh, she couldn't care. She couldn't care the least bit. She's not like me. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. This whole thing is a mess. And one thing I've noticed with Jennifer is you can tell her and Jeremy's status by the videos on her page. And here's what I mean by that. She will private videos and unlist them that are negative videos about Jeremy. Like there's one that I'm sure you saw where I took the full recording of it, and it was Jeremy committing domestic violence against her. Like 20-30 minutes of Jeremy committing domestic violence, screaming at her, hitting her. I mean, all kinds of terrible things.
Is that the one when they're in the office?
This is one that she did. It's all audio, and it's just several different occasions. Not in the office, different one. This is a different one, believe it or not. This is
There's
like,
one where he like throws her into the window and breaks the window. Remember that one?
yeah, that one could be part of it. But there's several of them. There's like 7 or 8 of them, maybe 10. I mean, there's a lot. I'll send you a link later.
So this is what you are. This is what you're spending all your time doing, Jen. This is who you're fighting for. The guy who threw you into the window. That's who you're fighting for, just so you're aware.
Well, and she will take down the videos. Like, for instance, when Jeremy was getting ready to get out, she started cleaning her YouTube channel of all these videos. And then I think she got the word that he wasn't coming back with her. So she put him right back up. So,
Yeah, she's weaponizing them.
absolutely. And same thing she did with JeremyDeWitteCase.com. She used
Right.
that to tear him apart. And literally, I think she's responsible for most of the charges against Jeremy.
And what do you think is going to happen with this baby?
With
Just another weapon.
oh yeah, is Jennifer pregnant?
I think she is.
You know, there's been rumors about that.
Well, one of her last videos, that's all she talked about. How the baby was making her tired. She was driving around to fast food places. It was a 20-minute video of her driving around to fast food places because she was hungry, and the baby was making her tired.
I wonder if it's even Jeremy's. Hard to say, right?
Yeah, who knows?
It's crazy. So,
But yeah, go check out that video because she drives around for 20 minutes, and it's like, we're all crazy for, wanting to follow them, but she's not crazy for making a video where she just drives around for 20 minutes. How narcissistic could you possibly be to think that anyone cares that you're driving around for 20 minutes looking for fast food?
well, it's just like the a day in the life of Motor One, right? Where he did that whole video about him getting ready, and he's got these fake Rolexes, and they're really Invictus watches or whatever.
Right. And the sunglasses and the Oakleys and
The cologne.
right. Which he didn't pay for any of them because he got the stuff charged on the credit card. And then, this is why he can't even get credit cards. This is why he's got, I don't even know what kind of credit card that was with a $300 limit. When you see a guy with a credit card with a $300 limit, generally it's either a 17-year-old looking to build credit or a guy who's destroyed his credit.
Right.
That's who has a credit card with a $300 limit. And it was some credit card nobody ever heard of. And
Yeah.
this is where he's at in life.
Yeah.
So Jen, that's also what you want. You want a guy who has zero credit, no prospects, lies to everybody he meets, is a philanderer, is a fraud. This is the guy you're fighting, who throws you into windows. That's the guy you're fighting for.
Well, and here's the other weird thing. So rates are so high right now, right? Rates are 7-8% for mortgages, and he refinances his mortgage right now. Like, what? Did you hear about that? So
I didn't, but if it's the only way for him to get any money, then
I mean,
What does he care? Because he's not going to pay it anyway.
right, exactly.
It could be a 200% credit interest rate. He doesn't care.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what his plan is with it. I mean, is he going to use it to buy a lawyer? Is he going to use it to pay? He's not going to pay off debt. He just doesn't do that. But
He's going to use it on his honeymoon with Jen.
I guess I just don't know how he qualified. It's just strange. But all right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this video. This is Josh from the Vault here with Shane Pallotta. And Shane, real quick before we go, just want to give your channel a quick shout out. It's called So You Dated a Police Impersonator. Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
Okay, so one more time for the camera.
So you dated a police impersonator.
Awesome.
Jen.
Yeah, Jen. You specifically dated a police
Specifically.
impersonator. And why are you bragging about it? You know, it's like, sorry, real quick sidebar, but like Jeremy going into court, bragging about being in court 28 times.
28 times.
Right. And he's never had an FTA.
It's a badge of honor. It's a badge of honor for Jeremy.
Oh, it's just such a badge of honor.
This is what I said the other day. I said at my video, like these guys, I said, we've all made mistakes. We've all done stupid things. We've all gotten in trouble. And when that happens, we just put our head down and we try to get through it. Not Jeremy. He goes in there.
He creates a YouTube channel.
Guns a blazing.
Oh man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great. We've been meeting
thank you so much.
A while now. So I'm glad we finally got it, all the logistics handled. So anyhow,
yes, sir.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much, Shane.
All right. Bye-bye.